I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This is the PC Engine Files, and you're looking at Bouken Danshaku, the Lost Sunheart, also roughly translated as The Adventures of Don Baron, the Lost Sunheart. And this is one of those games. And what do I mean by those games? As a PC Engine / TurboGrafx 16 fan, that can mean several things, and in this case, it means all of them. First of all, the game has a visual style that would be understood by Japanese gamers who play Choaniki type games, where it's very surreal, very visually representative of anatomy and body parts. There's a certain cheeky humor to it that is just culturally part of the Japanese gaming landscape, where it's not really nearly that understood to a North American or a European audience. So if you haven't played those kind of games, it may not make sense to you. Even if you have, it may still not make sense to you. JonTron made a great point of that when he did his Japanese shoot 'em up games video. There's a lot that just doesn't translate, but if you enjoy shoot 'em ups, you can still have fun with it. Second of all, when I say it's one of those games, I do mean it is one of those expensive games. You are not getting a copy of Bouken Danshaku for anything less than $75. And if you want a complete copy, you're in the 3-digit mark immediately. The lowest cost copies I can find right now are $90 used incomplete and well over 100 complete. So it's one of those games. And the reason it's one of those games gets to the third point. Shoot 'em ups are part and parcel of what make TurboGrafx PC Engine collecting so desirable to a subset of the retro gaming culture. If you love shoot 'em up games, this is the console for you. And if you love this console and those type of games, you're probably prepared to go deep into pocket to get the kind of games that are fun for you, because everybody wants them, and the more obscure they are, the more people want them, and the higher the price goes. So we've got that perfect trifecta here of weirdness, rarity, and popularity that escalates the price of a game. And I suspect that even in challenging times, this game will probably retain much of that value just because supplies of this game appear to be severely limited. There was apparently a low print run by the manufacturer, which was IMAX, and it's a later release for PC Engine TurboGrafx games. It came out in January of 1992, which means at this point it was going head-to-head with both the Mega Drive and the Super Famicom. And in a 3-horse race, the 8-bit generation, quasi-16-bit generation PC Engine was starting to lose ground very rapidly, and eventually they were just no longer feasible. Even with the CD-ROM Turbo Duo that was pretty cutting edge for its time, they were still losing in a 3-man race, and ultimately they were not winning the console wars. But that doesn't mean they're forgotten, and that doesn't mean the games are forgotten either. You have plenty of ways to play them now. You can, of course, spend $100 or more for the original game. You can get a Turbo EverDrive and use it with a PC Engine or a TurboGrafx 16, or you can get a SSD 3, which is the enhanced version of an EverDrive that will also play backups of CD-ROM games and not just HuCard games. So there are plenty of choices, and emulation is also a viable choice as well. But don't expect to find this one on the TurboGrafx Mini / PC Engine Mini. It's too obscure even for that, which, again, that's one of the factors that's driving up the price of this game. Ironically, that PC Engine Mini I just referred to has a lot of the rare and valuable titles on it in almost all versions, both internationally and domestically. Games like Snatcher, which, even if they're not translated from Japanese to English, they're going to be highly coveted games, and of course, Rondo of Blood, which still remains one of the most expensive PC Engine games, save for, of course, Magical Chase. So I think you've got this situation here where it's just obscure enough to not be on a mini, but obscure enough to be coveted. So make of that what you choose, but try it out because it is difficult but fun. I'm having a hard time getting past this boss. This is obviously a battle where I've got to shoot out the eyeballs, but after I tried the first time, it separates between the body and the head, and I can't seem to destroy the body fast enough, and then the head becomes somehow invulnerable after that, and I haven't quite figured out what I'm doing wrong yet, but I'm intrigued enough by this game that I want to find out what I'm doing wrong and do better. And it certainly seems to have gotten some cultural cachet among video game sites that cover PC Engine, like Giant Bomb, who describes it as distinct among shoot 'em ups for allowing players to keep their power-ups after dying. That was not my experience because I didn't get any of those power-ups that I just had back after I died there, but maybe again there's something I'm missing, something that I'm not doing. But I would say that this is a recommended game because this is not one where you're going to need a heavy knowledge of the Japanese language to be able to play it. Shoot 'em ups are also another asset of the TurboGrafx PC Engine library. Because of that, many of them are accessible because they're arcade action style shooting games that you don't need to have that depth in Japanese characters to understand. You just need to be able to shoot, move, and change weapons, and that's probably part of what I'm doing wrong here is I don't have whatever button I need mapped to my controller to change weapons here. So well, it's fun, and it's going to be fun for me to continue to explore Bouken Danshaku the Lost Sunheart and see if I can figure out what else I'm missing. This brief summary of the plot from Giant Bomb won't help me figure it out, but will help you know more about it. The game's plot concerns the titular Sunheart device, which is broken into several pieces and spirited away by a group of malicious eyeball enemies. The hero, in a series of vehicles, takes down each of the boss creatures that are protecting a piece of the stolen Sunheart. So this is a quest of sorts to regain the lost Sunheart, hence the title. But why is the Sunheart so important, and why do we need to get it back? Nothing here in that summary explains that point, so that may just be lost in translation. And if there is an English patch of this that would translate that, please let me know, and I will happily play it that way on my Super SD System 3. Or maybe Sarumaru, with his working knowledge of Japanese that is far beyond mine, he might be able to understand the plot and explain it a little better. Perhaps even Corbin in Japan could do me a solid and tell me a little more, but I would say try this game whether you know Japanese or not, because I think you're going to enjoy it. I'm Mr. MegaManFan, and as always, thank you for watching.